What happens when the woman you buried 6 months ago is suddenly standing? 10 feet away from you? Not in a dream. Not in a memory. Not in a photograph. But alive. Breathing. Terrified and carrying a child she doesn't remember creating. On a freezing November night, New York City's elite gathered behind the guarded doors of the Black Orchid Club. Hidden beneath a luxury hotel in Manhattan, the club was invisible to ordinary people. There were no signs outside. No advertisements. No online listings. Only those with power knew it existed. Politicians came here. Judges came here. Billionaires came here. And every one of them feared the same man, Damon Romano. At 34 years old, Damon controlled an empire stretching across the East Coast. Shipping companies, luxury casinos, private security firms, real estate developments. Most people believed he was simply a wealthy businessman. The truth was far darker. Behind every successful company stood a criminal network worth billions. Damon Romano wasn't just rich. He was powerful. Dangerously powerful. The kind of man who could make people disappear with a single phone call. The kind of man whose enemies rarely lived long enough to regret crossing him. Yet none of that mattered anymore. Not after Elena died. 6 months earlier, Elena Romano had been killed in a devastating explosion outside Brooklyn. The blast had destroyed her vehicle completely. Authorities claimed no one could have survived. The body had been identified. The funeral had taken place. The grave existed. Everything said Elena was dead. Everything except Damon's heart. Because somehow, someway, he still felt her. Every morning he woke expecting to see her sleeping beside him. Every night he reached toward the empty side of the bed. Every room in his mansion reminded him of her. The kitchen where she danced while cooking. The garden where she spent hours planting roses. The balcony where she drank coffee during sunrise. Her absence haunted him, and it was destroying him. The old Damon Romano had died alongside his wife. The man who remained was colder, crueler, more dangerous. Over the last 6 months, New York's underworld had become a battlefield. Damon blamed the explosion on a rival organization. Dozens of people disappeared. Warehouses burned. Businesses collapsed. Entire criminal networks vanished. Nobody dared question his actions. Grief had transformed him into something terrifying. Tonight was no different. Damon sat alone inside the VIP section of the Black Orchid Club. A glass of expensive whiskey rested in his hand. Soft jazz music echoed through the room. Around him, powerful men discussed money and politics. Damon heard none of it. His attention remained fixed on the amber liquid inside his glass. Across from him sat Vincent Moretti, his closest advisor, his oldest friend, and one of the few people unafraid to speak honestly. "You need sleep," Vincent said. Damon ignored him. "You haven't slept more than 3 hours a night for months." Still nothing. Vincent sighed. "This has to stop." Slowly, Damon raised his eyes. The look alone was enough to make most people back away. Vincent remained seated. "You think I don't know that?" Damon asked quietly. "You think I enjoy this?" "No." Vincent shook his head. "I think you're drowning." Silence filled the booth. The music continued playing. Nearby guests pretended not to listen. Then Damon laughed. A dark, humorless laugh. "Drowning would be easier." Vincent didn't answer. Because deep down he agreed. Suddenly a waiter approached nervously. "Sir?" Damon looked up. "What?" "The cleaning crew is finishing the lower floor." "And?" "The manager wanted permission to close the east hallway." Damon waved dismissively. "I don't care." The waiter nodded and hurried away. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then everything changed. A faint scent drifted through the air, vanilla and cedarwood. Damon froze. The glass stopped halfway to his lips. His heart skipped. Impossible. He knew that scent. He remembered helping Elena choose it. A small perfume boutique in Manhattan had created it exclusively for her. No one else wore it. No one. Slowly, Damon looked around. The scent grew stronger. His breathing became shallow. His pulse accelerated. Across the room, near the marble staircase, a pregnant janitor pushed a cleaning cart. She wore a gray maintenance uniform. Her dark hair was tied back. Her head remained lowered. Nothing about her seemed remarkable. And yet, that scent. Damon couldn't look away. The woman moved slowly, carefully. One hand rested against her lower back. The other guided the mop across the polished floor. She looked exhausted. pregnant. Fragile. Then she accidentally bumped into a chair. A glass crashed onto the floor. The sudden noise echoed throughout the club. Every head turned. The young woman immediately dropped to her knees. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Damon's world stopped. That voice. His chest tightened painfully. For a moment, he couldn't breathe, because he knew that voice. He had heard it every day for 4 years. He had fallen asleep listening to it. He had dreamed about it for 6 months. Slowly, very slowly, the pregnant woman lifted her head. And Damon Romano felt his entire universe collapse, because the face staring back at him belonged to Elena, his wife, the woman he buried, the woman he mourned, the woman who was supposed to be dead. And she looked at him as if she had never seen him before. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The entire Black Orchid Club seemed frozen in time. Damon Romano stood motionless beside his table, staring at the pregnant woman kneeling on the floor. His heartbeat thundered inside his chest. It couldn't be possible. He had buried her. He had stood beside her grave. He had watched the casket disappear beneath the earth. He had spent 6 months mourning her death. And yet the woman before him had Elena's face, Elena's eyes, Elena's voice. Even her scent. Every instinct in Damon screamed the same thing. It's her. The pregnant woman looked uncomfortable beneath his intense stare. Slowly she stood up. One hand instinctively rested on her swollen stomach. "Sir?" Her voice trembled slightly. "Are you okay?" Damon's fingers tightened around the whiskey glass. That voice. God, it was exactly the same. Not similar. Not close. Exactly the same. Vincent noticed the sudden change in Damon's expression. His face lost all color. "Damon?" No response. "Damon?" Still nothing. The Mafia king couldn't take his eyes off the woman. The woman shifted nervously. She glanced toward the exit. Every survival instinct told her to leave. The man staring at her looked dangerous, powerful, terrifying, and something about the way he looked at her made her uneasy, as if he'd seen a ghost. Finally, Damon moved. One step, then another, then another. The club fell silent. Everyone watched. Nobody dared interfere. By the time Damon reached her, the woman was visibly shaking. He stopped less than 3 feet away, close enough to see every detail of her face, the tiny freckle beneath her left eye, the faint scar near her eyebrow, the curve of her lips. Everything was identical. His throat felt dry. "What's your name?" The woman blinked. "Olivia." Damon frowned. "What?" "Olivia Carter." The answer hit him like a punch. "Olivia? Not Elena? Impossible." "How old are you?" 27. "Where were you born?" Confusion spread across her face. "I don't know." Damon's eyes narrowed. "You don't know?" She looked embarrassed. "No." Silence. Then she lowered her gaze. "I lost my memory." The word struck him hard. Memory loss. Amnesia. Suddenly, dozens of possibilities exploded inside his mind. The explosion. The missing body. The unanswered questions. The months of confusion. Could she have survived? Could she have forgotten everything? Damon took another step forward. Olivia stepped back. Fear flashed across her face. "Please don't." His heart shattered. Elena had never looked afraid of him. Never. She used to laugh at him, tease him, challenge him. But the woman standing here looked terrified, as if he were a stranger, as if he meant nothing to her, as if their entire life together had never happened. "Damon." Vincent appeared beside him. Something about his voice felt tense, careful, controlled, almost nervous. "Damon, let's go." The Mafia boss ignored him. His attention remained fixed on Olivia. "When did you lose your memory?" Olivia hesitated. "About 6 months ago." 6 months? Exactly 6 months. The same amount of time since Elena's supposed death. A chill ran through his body. The coincidence was too perfect, too impossible, too dangerous. Before Damon could ask another question, Olivia suddenly winced. Pain crossed her face. Her hand moved protectively over her stomach. Damon immediately noticed. "What's wrong?" "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." "It's nothing." But it clearly wasn't nothing. Her face had become pale. A bead of sweat appeared on her forehead. Then another. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Suddenly, Olivia stumbled. The cleaning cart rolled sideways. She nearly fell. Without thinking, Damon caught her. The moment his hands touched her arms, time seemed to stop. A strange feeling shot through both of them. Olivia gasped. For a brief second, an image flashed through her mind. A beach, warm sunlight, a man's laughter, strong arms around her waist. Then it vanished, gone as quickly as it appeared. Olivia blinked rapidly. Confused. What was that? Damon stared. What? She pressed her fingers against her temple. A sharp headache exploded inside her skull. I don't know. The pain became worse. Memories. Tiny fragments. Broken pieces. A wedding ring. Ocean waves. A deep male voice. Dark eyes. A kiss. Then darkness. Everything disappeared again. Olivia almost collapsed. Damon tightened his grip. Fear flooded his chest. Not fear for himself. Fear for her. The same fear he used to feel every time Elena got sick. Every time she cried. Every time she was hurt. A feeling he hadn't experienced since her funeral. Damon. Vincent's voice came again. This time more urgently. We need to leave. Damon slowly turned. For the first time, he noticed something strange. Vincent looked worried. Not surprised. Not shocked. Worried. As if seeing Olivia frightened him. As if he knew something. The realization hit Damon instantly. And he didn't like it. Not one bit. For 6 months, Vincent had handled every detail surrounding Elena's death. The funeral. The paperwork. The investigation. Everything. If something had been hidden, Vincent would know. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, neither man spoke. Then Vincent forced a smile. Damon. His voice sounded calm. Too calm. She's obviously not Elena. Damon said nothing. Look at her, Vincent continued. She's pregnant. Silence. She's a janitor. More silence. And she doesn't even recognize you. The words echoed inside Damon's head. She doesn't recognize you? No, she didn't. And somehow that terrified him more than anything else. Because if this really was Elena, someone had stolen 6 months of her life. Someone had erased her memories. Someone had left her homeless and pregnant. And Damon Romano intended to discover exactly who was responsible. No matter how much blood had to be spilled. The drive to Romano Manor was silent. Rain hammered against the windows of the armored SUV. Inside, Olivia sat in the far corner of the back seat, terrified, confused, and completely unaware that the man, sitting across from her, was fighting the urge to tear the entire city apart. Damon couldn't stop looking at her. Every movement reminded him of Elena. The way she tucked loose hair behind her ear, the way she crossed her arms when nervous, even the way she stared out the window. It was all the same. Yet she looked at him like a stranger. The pain of that realization cut deeper than any bullet ever could. Olivia finally broke the silence. Where are you taking me? Damon answered immediately. Somewhere safe. She laughed nervously. People usually say that before doing something terrible. For the first time that night, Damon almost smiled. That sounded exactly like Elena. The same sarcastic humor. The same stubborn personality. A tiny piece of the woman he had loved. I promise, he said quietly. You'll be safe. Olivia didn't answer. Because she didn't trust him. Why would she? As far as she knew, Damon Romano was one of the most dangerous men in America. The stories about him were everywhere. Murders, disappearances, crime, power, fear. Yet despite everything she'd heard, he hadn't harmed her. Not once. That confused her more than anything. 20 minutes later, the massive iron gates of Romano Manor opened. Olivia stared through the window. The estate looked less like a home and more like a kingdom. Security guards stood everywhere. Luxury cars lined the driveway. The mansion itself was enormous. 3 stories of glass, stone, and steel overlooking the Hudson River. Olivia felt completely out of place. A pregnant janitor from a shelter didn't belong somewhere like this. The SUV stopped. A bodyguard opened the door. Damon stepped out first, then turned toward her. Come inside. Olivia hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to run. But where? Back to the shelter? Back to cleaning floors? Back to sleeping with one eye open? Slowly, she followed him. The front doors opened. Warm air rushed toward them. Inside, the mansion was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, paintings worth millions, luxury everywhere. Yet something felt strange. The house didn't feel alive. It felt frozen. like time had stopped months ago. Olivia noticed framed photographs throughout the hallway. Her eyes widened. Every picture showed the same woman, a beautiful brunette standing beside Damon, laughing, smiling, holding his hand. The woman looked exactly like her. Olivia stopped walking. Her heartbeat accelerated. No. She stepped closer to one photograph. The resemblance was impossible. It wasn't similar. It was identical. The same face, the same eyes, the same smile. Her hands started shaking. His face was pale. Sweat covered his forehead. Because unlike Damon, Vincent knew exactly what had happened 6 months ago, and if Elena remembered the truth, everything would fall apart. Vincent Moretti stood alone inside the security room. The glow of dozens of monitors illuminated his pale face. His hands trembled slightly, something they almost never did. For years, Vincent had helped Damon build the Romano Empire. Together, they had survived wars, betrayals, assassination attempts, federal investigations. They were more than partners. They were brothers. At least that's what Damon believed. But brothers don't keep secrets like Vincent's. On the screen before him, Olivia sat in the mansion's grand living room. Damon remained beside her, watching her, protecting her, looking at her the same way he used to look at Elena. Vincent felt a knot tighten inside his stomach. Because if Olivia remembered everything, he was finished. Absolutely finished. 6 months earlier, the explosion hadn't happened the way everyone believed. The official story was a lie, a carefully crafted lie, and Vincent had helped create it. Suddenly, the office door opened. Vincent spun around. A large man stepped inside, Marco Rossi, head of security. "What do you want?" Vincent asked sharply. Marco frowned. "Easy." Vincent forced himself to relax. "Sorry." Marco looked suspicious. "You don't seem okay." "I'm fine." "No, you're not." Silence. Marco stepped closer. "Why are you sweating?" Vincent forced a smile. "Long night." Marco studied him for several seconds, then finally nodded. "If you say so." After Marco left, Vincent released a shaky breath. This was getting dangerous. Too dangerous. For 6 months, everything had gone perfectly. Elena had disappeared. Damon had accepted her death. The Empire had remained under Vincent's control, while Damon drowned himself in grief. Everything had gone according to plan, until tonight, until Olivia walked into the Black Orchid Club. Back downstairs, Damon sat across from Olivia in the living room. Neither spoke. A fire crackled inside the enormous stone fireplace. Outside, rain continued falling. The mansion felt strangely peaceful. Olivia wrapped both hands around a cup of tea. Her headache had finally begun to fade, but her mind remained overwhelmed. Nothing made sense anymore. The photographs, the memories, the resemblance, the way Damon looked at her. It was impossible. Yet she couldn't ignore it. Finally, she looked up. "Tell me about her." Damon immediately knew who she meant. Elena. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke. "She was stubborn." Olivia blinked. "That's the first thing you thought of?" A small smile touched Damon's lips. "Absolutely." For the first time all night, genuine warmth appeared in his eyes. "She argued with me constantly." Olivia laughed softly. "That sounds exhausting." It was. Another smile. A real one this time. And I loved every second of it. The room grew quiet again. Damon stared into the flames. Remembering, she hated expensive parties. Olivia listened carefully. She loved old movies. Another memory. She talked too much during them. A second memory. She always stole food from my plate. A third. The memories kept coming, one after another, each one making Damon realize how desperately he missed her. Across the room, Olivia felt something strange. An ache inside her chest. Not physical pain. Something emotional. Like she was listening to stories about herself. Suddenly another flash appeared. A kitchen. Bright sunlight. Laughter. Someone stealing French fries from a man's plate. The memory lasted longer this time. "Almost 5 seconds," Olivia gasped. The cup slipped from her hands. It shattered against the floor. Damon immediately stood. What happened? Tears filled Olivia's eyes. I saw it again. His heart pounded. "What did you see?" "A kitchen?" She pressed both hands against her head. "A man." Damon stepped closer. "Who?" I still can't see his face. Frustration filled her voice. "But I know him." Hope exploded inside Damon. For months he had believed Elena was dead. Now fragments of her memories were returning. Slowly. Painfully. But they were returning. Then Olivia whispered something unexpected. Something that changed everything. "I think I loved him." The room went silent. Damon stopped breathing. Because deep inside, he knew she wasn't talking about a stranger. She was talking about him. Upstairs, Vincent watched everything unfold through the cameras. And for the first time in 6 months, he felt fear. Real fear. Because Elena was remembering. Not everything. Not yet, but enough. And once the memories returned completely, the truth about the explosion would come with them. A truth Damon Romano would never forgive. Later that night, Olivia couldn't sleep. The guest suite was larger than the apartment building she once lived in. Luxury surrounded her. Yet she felt completely alone. Moonlight spilled through the massive windows. The city glittered in the distance. Slowly, she placed a hand on her stomach. The baby kicked gently, a comforting reminder that she wasn't completely alone. Then she noticed something. A framed photograph sitting on a nearby shelf. She walked toward it. The woman in the picture smiled brightly beside Damon. Elena, or maybe her. Olivia stared at the image. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, pain exploded inside her head. Far stronger than before. A memory surged forward. Not a fragment. Not a glimpse. A real memory. She saw herself standing beside Damon on a yacht. The ocean stretched endlessly behind them. A diamond ring sparkled on her finger. Damon pulled her close. "I love you." The words were clear. Perfectly clear. Not imagined. Not dreamed. Remembered. Olivia staggered backward. Her breathing became frantic. The photograph slipped from her fingers. Glass shattered across the floor. And for the first time, she remembered Damon Romano's face. Olivia studied him carefully. This wasn't the man newspapers described. This wasn't the monster everyone feared. At least not right now. Right now, he looked like a husband who had lost everything. And somehow, that hurt her heart. Suddenly, another memory flashed. This one stronger. A wedding. Music. White roses. A church. Damon standing at the altar. Waiting. Smiling. Then, a loud explosion. Fire! Screaming. Darkness. Olivia gasped. The memory disappeared. Her entire body shook. Damon immediately noticed. What happened? There was an explosion. His expression changed instantly. The room felt colder. What kind of explosion? I don't know. She struggled to breathe. There was fire. Damon clenched his fists. The bomb. It had to be. Somehow she was remembering the night everything changed. Before he could ask more questions, a scream echoed through the mansion. Everyone froze. Then came gunfire. 3 loud shots. Bang! 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 Damon stood instantly. His eyes turned deadly. The warm husband vanished. The Mafia king returned. What was that? Olivia whispered. Damon moved toward the door. His voice became ice cold. Stay here. More gunfire erupted downstairs. Security alarms suddenly exploded throughout the mansion. Red emergency lights began flashing. Damon pulled a handgun from beneath his jacket. Olivia's eyes widened. Everything happened so fast. What is going on? Damon checked the weapon, then looked directly at her. A look that made her heart stop. Because she recognized it. Not from tonight. From somewhere else. A memory. The same expression. The same protective intensity. As if he'd looked at her that way before. Many times before. They found you. Olivia stared. Who? Damon's jaw tightened. The people who don't want you remembering. Before she could respond, the bedroom door burst open. A security guard rushed inside. Blood covered his shoulder. Boss! What happened? The guard struggled to breathe. We have intruders. Damon's eyes narrowed. How many? At least 12. The guard swallowed. They came through the east perimeter. Damon immediately understood. This wasn't random. This wasn't robbery. Someone knew Olivia was here. Someone had followed her. Someone wanted her silenced. Forever. The realization made his blood boil. Because if they wanted Olivia dead, then they knew exactly who she really was. And if they knew, then someone inside the organization had betrayed him. Damon's thoughts instantly moved toward one person, Vincent. At that exact moment, somewhere else inside the mansion, Vincent Moretti stood in a dark hallway holding a phone. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. The man on the other end of the call sounded furious. You said she was dead. Vincent swallowed. I thought she was. Clearly not. Gunfire echoed through the mansion. The voice continued. If Elena remembers everything, we're finished. Vincent closed his eyes. Because deep down, he knew the man was right. And for the first time in 6 months, Vincent realized he might not survive this. Gunfire echoed throughout Romano Manor. The peaceful night had transformed into chaos. Security alarms screamed from every corner of the estate. Outside, armed guards rushed across the grounds. Inside, fear spread like wildfire. But Damon Romano wasn't afraid. He was furious. The wounded guard stood near the doorway, struggling to remain conscious. They're heading toward the north wing, he gasped. The guest rooms. Damon's expression darkened. They weren't attacking the mansion. They were hunting Olivia. That meant one thing. Someone knew she was here. Someone inside his organization had leaked information. Damon's jaw tightened. There were only a handful of people who knew Olivia had been brought to the estate. And one name continued repeating inside his mind. Vincent Moretti. For years, Damon had trusted him completely. Trusted him with money, secrets, operations, even his life. But tonight something felt wrong. Very wrong. Damon turned toward Olivia. Lock the door after I leave. What? Do not open it for anyone except me. Fear filled her eyes. Damon, I'm serious. His voice softened. I'll come back for you. The strange thing was, she believed him, even though she barely remembered him. Even though she still wasn't sure who she really was. Somewhere deep inside her heart, she trusted him, and she didn't understand why. Damon stepped into the hallway. The moment the door closed behind him, his entire demeanor changed. The loving husband disappeared. The king of New York's underworld returned, cold, focused, dangerous. 2 bodyguards approached immediately. Boss, status. We've eliminated 4 intruders. Damon nodded. Alive prisoners? 1. Bring him to me. Minutes later, a bleeding man was dragged into the mansion's lower security room. The intruder looked terrified, especially when he realized who was standing in front of him. Damon Romano. The stories alone were enough to make grown men panic. Damon sat across from him. Calm, silent, patient. The intruder swallowed nervously. Please. Damon said nothing. Please don't kill me. Still nothing. The silence became unbearable. Finally, Damon spoke. Who sent you? The man hesitated. That was a mistake. Damon leaned forward. You have 5 seconds. The intruder broke instantly. It wasn't my idea. Who sent you? I don't know his real name. Damon's eyes narrowed. What do you know? The man trembled. We got orders from a middleman. Name? Victor. The room became silent. Damon immediately recognized the name. Victor Kane, a billionaire businessman. Publicly respected, privately dangerous. Someone Damon had investigated before, but never successfully connected to criminal activity. Why was Olivia the target? The man looked confused. Who? The pregnant woman. Understanding flashed across his face. Oh. His voice dropped. We weren't supposed to kill her. Damon froze. What? The intruder swallowed. We were supposed to capture her. That changed everything. If they wanted Olivia alive, then she was valuable, which meant she knew something, or she was someone. Something very important was hidden in her lost memories. Something powerful enough for armed men to attack a Mafia fortress. Suddenly, a voice came from the doorway. Damon. Everyone turned. Vincent stood there. His expression looked calm. Too calm. Damon studied him carefully. For years, he would have trusted this man without question. Tonight was different. What do you want? Vincent glanced toward the prisoner. To help. The prisoner suddenly looked terrified. A reaction Damon noticed immediately. Interesting. Very interesting. The prisoner's eyes widened, as if he recognized Vincent, as if he'd seen him before. The realization struck Damon like lightning. Vincent saw it too, and for the briefest moment, panic flashed across his face. A mistake, a tiny mistake, but enough. Damon stood slowly. The room felt colder, more dangerous. The prisoner suddenly pointed, directly at Vincent. That's him! Silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Vincent's face turned white. The prisoner continued. That's the man who paid Victor. Everything stopped. Damon looked at Vincent. His oldest friend, his closest ally, his brother, the man he trusted most. And suddenly, nothing made sense anymore. Vincent forced a laugh. A criminal is accusing me? Nobody laughed. Nobody moved. Because Damon wasn't smiling, and that was terrifying. Vincent slowly stepped backward. Damon. His voice cracked slightly. You're not actually believing him. Damon said nothing. The silence was worse than shouting. Much worse. For the first time in years, Vincent looked afraid. Truly afraid. Then it happened. He ran. The moment Vincent turned toward the exit, every doubt disappeared. Because innocent men don't run. Guilty men do. Damon's voice thundered through the room. Stop him! Chaos exploded instantly. Bodyguards rushed forward. Vincent sprinted down the hallway. The hunt had begun. And somewhere upstairs, Olivia suddenly collapsed onto her knees. A massive wave of memories slammed into her mind. The explosion. The car. The betrayal. A face. A familiar face. The man standing beside the vehicle moments before the bomb exploded. The man she trusted. The man Damon trusted. Vincent Moretti. Olivia's eyes widened in horror. Because she finally remembered something important. Vincent wasn't trying to protect them. He had tried to kill them. Vincent Moretti ran for his life. The marble hallways of Romano Manor echoed beneath his footsteps. Behind him, armed security guards pursued relentlessly. For years, Vincent had helped design the mansion's security systems. He knew every hallway, every exit, every hidden passage. But tonight, none of that mattered. Because the man hunting him wasn't security. It was Damon Romano, and nobody escaped Damon Romano forever. Damn it! Vincent slammed through a side door leading into the underground garage. His breathing was ragged. His heart hammered violently. Everything was falling apart. 6 months of lies. 6 months of manipulation. 6 months of planning. Destroyed in a single night. Upstairs, Olivia sat on the floor of the guest room. Tears streamed down her face. More memories were returning. Faster now. Stronger. More complete. She remembered the day of the explosion. The weather. The road. The black SUV. Everything. The memory played like a movie inside her head. 6 months earlier, Elena Romano smiled as she rested a hand on her stomach. 8 weeks pregnant. She couldn't wait to tell Damon. She had spent days planning the surprise. A small gift box sat on the passenger seat. Inside was a tiny pair of baby shoes. The moment Damon saw them, he'd understand. The memory made Olivia cry, because she remembered now. She wasn't Olivia. She was Elena. Elena Romano, Damon's wife, and the baby she carried belonged to him. But then the happy memory darkened. A black sedan appeared behind her vehicle, following, too closely. Elena frowned. Something felt wrong. Then her phone rang. The caller ID showed a familiar name. Vincent, she answered immediately. Hey, Vincent. His voice sounded nervous. Elena, listen carefully. What? You need to get off the road. Confusion filled her face. Why? There was a pause. Then, because they're going to kill you. The memory exploded apart. Back in the present, Elena gasped. The memory wasn't complete. But one thing was clear. Vincent had known about the attack before it happened. Meanwhile, Damon stormed through the mansion. Every guard moved out of his way. His face was terrifying. Cold rage radiated from him. Nobody dared speak. Nobody dared stop him. A voice suddenly crackled through his earpiece. Boss. Damon answered instantly. Talk. We found Vincent's escape vehicle. Where? The West Garage. Damon's eyes narrowed. Is he inside? No. Silence. Then another voice interrupted. Boss, you need to see this. What? We found something in Vincent's office. Minutes later, Damon entered the private office. Security teams were already searching everything. Drawers, computers, hidden safes. Documents covered the desk. One guard handed him a folder. We found this locked inside the wall. Damon opened it. His expression darkened instantly. The folder contained photographs. Dozens of them. Photographs of Elena, taken after the explosion. Alive, walking, hiding, recovering. Every photo had dates, locations, notes. Damon's blood turned to ice. Vincent had known she survived. For 6 months, 6 entire months, the realization nearly broke him. While he mourned, while he drank himself into oblivion, while he burned half the city searching for answers. Vincent knew. He always knew. Damon turned another page, then froze. A document fell onto the desk. An ultrasound image. The date matched 6 months ago. Attached to it was a note. Target confirmed pregnant. Damon stopped breathing. Pregnant. Vincent knew about the baby, too. Everything. He knew everything. And he said nothing. The office door suddenly burst open. Marco rushed inside. Boss. Damon looked up. What now? Marco's face was pale. Elena remembered something. Damon immediately moved. Take me to her. Back upstairs, Elena sat on the edge of the bed. Her hands trembled. The memories kept returning. Some were beautiful. Their wedding. Their honeymoon. Lazy mornings with Damon. Late-night conversations. The way he looked at her. The way he loved her. Then came darker memories. Meetings. Arguments. Secrets. Danger. And finally, the explosion. The bedroom door opened. Damon entered. The moment Elena saw him, tears filled her eyes. Something had changed. Damon saw it instantly. The way she looked at him. The fear was gone. Not completely, but enough. Elena. The name escaped his lips softly. This time she didn't correct him. She didn't say Olivia. She didn't deny it. Instead, she whispered, Damon. His entire body froze. For 6 months, he had dreamed of hearing her say his name again. Now it was real. He moved closer. Slowly, carefully, as if afraid she'd disappear. You remember? Elena nodded. Pieces. His heart pounded. What pieces? She looked directly into his eyes. The baby. Damon stopped breathing. Tears appeared instantly. The baby? Elena placed a hand on her stomach. Our baby. Silence. Absolute silence. Then something happened that nobody in the criminal underworld would ever believe. Damon Romano cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just silent tears. Because after 6 months of hell, he finally knew the truth. His wife was alive, and the child she carried was his. But Elena's expression suddenly changed. Fear returned. Real fear. Damon, what is it? Her voice trembled. I remember who was there. The room became silent. Damon already knew the answer, but he needed to hear it. Who? Elena swallowed hard, then spoke the name. Vincent. At that exact moment, boom! A massive explosion shook the mansion. The entire building trembled violently. Windows shattered. Alarms screamed. Guards yelled downstairs. Damon immediately pulled Elena behind him, protecting her, shielding her body with his own. Smoke began filling the hallway. Marco's voice exploded through the radio. Boss! Damon grabbed the earpiece. What happened? Marco's answer made everyone's blood run cold. Vincent escaped. A pause. Then, and he just declared war. The explosion shook Romano Manor like an earthquake. Glass shattered. Smoke flooded the corridors. Security alarms screamed throughout the estate. For a few terrifying seconds, nobody knew what had happened. Damon immediately wrapped both arms around Elena, shielding her body, protecting their unborn child. The blast wave slammed into the hallway. Pieces of plaster rained from the ceiling. Damon! Elena cried. I'm here. His voice remained calm, controlled, even as chaos erupted around them. The bedroom door burst open. Marco rushed inside. Blood stained the sleeve of his suit. Boss! What happened? Marco struggled to catch his breath. A fuel truck exploded at the south gate. Damon's eyes narrowed. Casualties? 3 guards confirmed dead. Silence. A dangerous silence. The kind that always came before Damon Romano became truly terrifying. Elena saw it happen. The grief, the rage, the coldness, all mixing together, creating something deadly. Vincent, Damon whispered. Marco nodded. He planned everything. The realization hit Elena like a punch. For years, Vincent had been part of their lives. He attended their wedding. He ate dinner with them. He laughed with them. And all along, he had betrayed them. Damon grabbed his phone. Find him. Marco nodded. We're already tracking his vehicles. No? Damon's voice dropped lower. Colder. Find everyone connected to him. The room fell silent. Every guard understood what that meant. War. Not an investigation. Not an arrest. War. Hours later, the sun began rising over New York, but nobody inside Romano Manor had slept. The mansion had become a command center. Security teams moved constantly. Phones rang. Computers processed information. Weapons were distributed. Every member of the Romano organization prepared for what was coming. Inside a private medical suite, Elena sat quietly near a window. A doctor had checked her and the baby. Both were safe. Physically, emotionally was another story. She remembered almost everything now. Not every detail, not every moment, but enough. Enough to know who she was. Enough to know who Damon was. Enough to know someone had tried to destroy their family. The door opened softly. Damon entered. For several seconds, neither spoke. The room felt different now. No lies, no confusion, no missing identities, just husband and wife. Finally, Damon sat beside her. You should rest. Elena smiled faintly. You first. A small laugh escaped him, the first genuine laugh in months. You remember that? I remember everything. His expression softened. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Elena reached for his hand. The gesture nearly broke him, because it felt normal, natural, like the nightmare had finally ended. But they both knew it hadn't. Not yet. Why? Elena whispered. Damon looked at her. Why what? Why did Vincent do it? Silence. Then Damon answered honestly. Power. Elena lowered her eyes. Maybe he was right. Power had destroyed countless lives, and Vincent had always wanted more. More influence, more control. More authority, enough to betray everyone around him. Suddenly, Marco entered. His face looked grim. "We found him." Damon stood immediately. "Where?" Marco handed him a tablet. A satellite image appeared. An abandoned shipping facility near the harbor. "He has at least 40 armed men." Damon's eyes became ice. "And Victor Kane?" Marco nodded. "He's there too." The room went silent. Everything finally connected. Victor. Vincent. The explosion. The missing memories. The attacks. All of it. One giant conspiracy. Damon turned toward Elena. For a brief moment, the ruthless Mafia king disappeared again. Only a husband remained. "I'm ending this today." Elena's heart tightened, because she knew exactly what that meant. People were going to die. A lot of people. "Damon." He stepped closer. "What?" "Come back." The words hit harder than anything else, because 6 months ago, she never got the chance to say goodbye. This time she would not lose him again. Damon gently touched her cheek, then kissed her forehead. A promise, a vow, a goodbye he hoped wasn't permanent. "I'll come back." 3 hours later, the harbor became a battlefield. More than 50 armored vehicles surrounded the abandoned shipping yard. Dozens of Romano soldiers moved into position. Weapons ready, eyes focused, waiting. Inside the central warehouse, Vincent watched through a broken window. His hands shook. For the first time in years, he was afraid, because he knew Damon was coming, and Damon never forgave betrayal. Victor Kane stood nearby. "We can still escape." Vincent laughed bitterly. "No." "What do you mean?" "You don't know Damon." Outside, engines suddenly stopped. An eerie silence fell over the harbor. Then one black SUV rolled forward alone. The driver's door opened. Damon Romano stepped out. By himself. No bodyguards. No protection. Just Damon. The sight alone terrified half the men inside. Because everyone knew what it meant. He wasn't afraid. Not even slightly. Vincent closed his eyes. The end had finally arrived. And somewhere far away, inside Romano Manor, Elena placed a hand on her stomach. Feeling the baby kick, a small smile touched her lips. Because for the first time in months, she felt hope. The future remained uncertain. Danger still existed. Enemies still remained. But her family was together again. And sometimes, that was enough.